Hey guys, welcome to Gamer Valley 971's first house build. We've started on our first house. I titled it 971 because I really didn't feel like putting that much time into thinking about a title for it. Um, so there's nothing really special about why I named it that. It was just, this is my first house build in The Sims 4, and so I just wanted to do something easy. As you can tell, it's going a little slow. Um, Especially early on in the original skeleton of the house. And the reason for that is because I actually am building this house from blueprints which I found online, and then I created a grid outline of the blueprints to match a 50 by 50 lot, which this house is being built on. Um, so what I'm basically doing is when it kind of slows down a little bit, I'm counting where I want to be so that the placement lines up right. Um, The Sims 4 switched over to the 50/50 lot from the 64 to 64 on The Sims 3, which I don't really find it to be too big of a deal yet. This house actually was really close to being able to fit on even the 30 by 40 lot, which I really would have liked to have done, and I thought about cutting out a few of the rooms actually to make it happen. But ultimately I decided I want as much square foot as I could with this house. I think the original floor plan had like over 3,000, probably closer to 4,000 square feet in real life, which is still quite a bit for even Simland. But I really wanted an open space house for my own Sims, and possibly your Sims too if you decide to download this later on and install it in your game. But I wanted it to have specific features that I personally would like to really have in my home. Those include things like the formal dining space, the formal living space, um, the eat-in kitchen, as well as open concept where it has what this room has is called a keeping room. It's basically sort of a family room attached inside of the kitchen that is separated sort of by a bar. Uh, that is something I really thought would be super helpful in The Sims because, especially in The Sims 4, because of all the multitasking that The Sims do, it allows them to actually sort of be in the kitchen, cooking, watching TV, sitting by the fireplace, have a good atmosphere, and also being able to interact with all the other Sims inside of the large house. This house that we're building now is ended up being 6 bedrooms overall, so it's definitely a substantial size. Um, so here you can see the actual skeleton of the first floor is sort of done, and we've moved into the inside, and now you're seeing me sort of struggle a little bit with how I want to go about placing this hallway to lead to these back 2 bedrooms. We went with the medium size wall on the first floor just to get that extra little height because this is such a large house. It looks nice on the outside. Obviously, the walls would be a little bit taller inside. That medium height wall did not extend to the second floor. It's specific to the first floor. I personally find it hard to work with doors and windows a little bit more with the larger walls. And here you'll see that I'm trying to see again how do I want to set this up? Do I want to use pillars to sort of create this entryway back there with these tall walls? It makes the arch ones look a little bit funky, a little bit strange. So I'm also seeing if I can create some sort of fancy entryway, but I took out the move objects mod just because I heard that when you go to share houses, it creates a little bit of trouble. So I wasn't able to get those to line up the way I wanted to. So as you can see, I sort of go with this art for now. I do change it out later on. I'm not sure if that will be in this first video that is included for this house, but you will see later on that I do end up changing that to a double wide arch just to increase the size of the hallway and follow in suit with what's going on in the rest of the house. Um, Here now you're going to see that I've added some closets essentially. That is what they are. I don't see as many closet items as what The Sims 3 ended up having, specifically the clothing rack, but there are nice little additions to the um, just random junk tabs that The Sims 4 has. They call it clutter. But it's nice that they do have clothing racks, and so you're able to actually utilize closets. And that's one thing I noticed that lacks in a lot of houses is no one actually puts closets in. Cause like, oh well, my Sims don't need closets. Well, that's true, but you're essentially trying to recreate life and live a virtual life inside of a sim, and so that sort of is important to me. And I never see any houses that have closets, so I like to put closets in my houses. This house specifically has all walk-in closets, which is really nice, and the one room actually has a larger walk-in closet than most of the other rooms. I think there's one other room besides the master bedroom that has a larger walk-in closet, and then those two rooms actually share a toilet and a shower, and then they each have their own sink so that they're not all tying it up in the morning while the little kiddos are trying to get ready to go. Now, one great thing about the layout to this house is there's essentially three rooms on the main floor for your Sims. So I personally find it a little bit difficult to flip back and forth between the lower floor and the upper floor. So if I can keep my Sims on the main floor of the house through a majority of my simming time, that actually makes it a little bit easier on me. So the fact that I'll be able to have essentially three beds on the main floor of this house really helps. So that means that you could probably have, I with the house the size, I would not have my children share a bed, bedroom, I guess, not a bed, but a bedroom. So I would have at most four Sims on the main floor of the house, and then I believe there's three more bedrooms upstairs, with plenty of space that actually you probably can even make another bedroom if you'd like. Um, Here you'll see that I'm working on the stairs, and I had a little bit of trouble with the stairs because uh, the flooring of the stairs can't actually touch a corner of the walling for the out exterior, so I had to move the walling a little bit, which was a little irritating. But yeah, as you can see right there, it would just delete the stairs if I put the corner of the wall right there. So I had to improvise a little bit and just kind of shuffle around, and I was only able to do a single stair, I believe. No, there I get a double stair, but then I had to create that weird wall to kind of seal it off. And now I create a little area that I'm going to put some built-in shelving for the formal dining space. I really like that the columns can actually go on the corners of the walls now, so that you don't have to use any cheats. It just sort of fits there, fits well. One thing that is kind of irritating is when you're doing the cameraman, the columns disappear. There's no real easy way to get images of the columns outside of building. And you'll still see me sort of struggling with the stairway area. I think what I actually end up doing here is I create a doorway what is going to go into the garage. Now, obviously, the Sims 4 doesn't have garages, so that made it a little bit tricky to add the garage. But the garage is a pretty important aspect to any house, and it kind of irritates me that they did not carry that over into the Sims. I realized that there's a different pathing system for The Sims 4. There's more loading screens, which can be a pain on their own. I I don't find them to be too long of a loading screen, but when you're trying to pop around with a lot of different Sims, it can be really irritating. Plus the fact that I don't like having my Sims auto handle themselves, because if I send a Sim to the gym, are they going to keep working on the gym, or are they just going to sit there and talk to people and not get done the hours working out that I need them to get done? Or if I go to the gym with one person, is the person I had left at home working on, you know, cracking a website? Are they going to keep hacking away at developing that skill or not? It's really just, I don't like leaving it up to the computer system that already seems a little buggy to me in the first place. But it's getting a little better, and hopefully they will go away, but I doubt they will. But I'm sure by The Sims 5 they'll definitely be back to no more loading screens. And here I'm adding the main floor powder room, and it also is sort of a second mudroom entryway onto the opposite end of the house, which will also lead into the master bedroom there, which that door just that's where that door that I just put in goes to. And then I'm fiddling around trying to figure out how I want to make the entry to the master bedroom, because not everything transfers perfectly from a blueprint when you're designing a house in The Sims versus what you may download is going to come like, because you know, real builders have a lot more leniency on what they can do versus our little square grid of 2.5 by 2.5 feet blocks. And I was really hoping that I have a three spot wide tub here, but this tub will do fine. I did go ahead and include the bathroom in this video, even though on the interior build you'll notice that a lot of this will actually be different, just because I actually learned some new stuff since I actually worked on this bathroom the first time. And so I plan on making a few changes, which you'll see in those videos once we get to the interior of the building, which, because this house is so large, I had to split it up into multiple videos. Nobody wants to sit through a 3.5 hour video of me building a house. At least, I mean, I'd probably watch it, but I would skip through a lot of it. And I want you guys to at least have the breakdown of what's going on at different points. And this is the part that I'm mostly planning on working on with the change as far as the cabinets go, to give a little insight on what's going to possibly change. Is I'm going to try working with a different counter so that I can get a full wall mirror up there. That's ultimately my goal. Is I really want to get the big wall mirror up on there, because I feel that it would actually serve the bathroom and the space a lot better than the tiny mirrors that I end up going with. But I do still like the cabinetry. That will probably stay similar if I can get it that way. It's really hard to do a lot of things I like doing or I want to do without the move object mod. So I run into a lot of troubles with trying to get things to fit. And you can see I was trying to get the big wall mirror to work. And I get to work on other walls, but I can't get to work with those counters up there. So I ended up settling for something a little bit smaller. Actually, it's pretty funny what comes up here soon. Like this, yeah. No, that's probably not a good idea. So we'll just take those off. But here in this room right here, I really like what I do with the shower. I actually saw it on someone else's video that I was watching after I'd already done it. Theirs was a little bit different, a little bit similar to mine. It was from The Sims 3 though, and not The Sims 4, which with the taller walls, it would make it a lot different. It was too difficult to do it the way that they did it, so that's why I like the way that I did it a little bit better. I think it goes well with the bathroom as far as just kind of working with the tall walls and all that. But for now, you saw that it was a regular door, but eventually it moves into an archway where it basically turns into a walk-in bathroom, walk-in shower stall, with the actual shower hidden, so it sort of seems a little bit higher class. And now we're moving into the kitchen. And this is another thing that gives the house a little bit more of that realism aspect, is that I added a pantry to the kitchen. Something that you just don't need with The Sims, but I wanted my house to be as authentic as I could, So I added a pantry. Most likely what will go in there is, just shelves with random clutter. Um, Possibly throw in a few things on the ground to just sort of add a food atmosphere to it. That while the clutter is good, it's still not complete as far as completely design your house to look like it's actually lived in. And here we're continuing on the laundry closet and the main floor powder room that is off of the kitchen and the keep. And then we skip back. And here's me fast forwarding through the kitchen because I forgot to record actually. So I had to start recording that again and then go back and replace everything. And even this kitchen has a few differences to it as well in the final house build. But for the most part, it is the same. I think just a few things different on the cabinets. Just a few different placements on those. But if you don't know what a keep is just that area inside of the kitchen that is sort of the family living area. Back in the old days, it used to be called the keep because it was close to the it was actually part of the kitchen where people would sleep to keep warm. But nowadays, we mostly use it as a family gathering space so that everybody can sort of be close together. And you also see over there with the little bay window area where the kitchen table will go for what's called a breakfast nook, where you can eat breakfast in the morning, I guess. I'm sure it'll come in pretty handy along with the bar stools that will go in there for our Sims. I like to play with a Sim dedicated to cooking, but everybody's different. Some people like to make their breakfast or have their cereal in the morning, and just there will be a nice little nook there for you to chill out at. And here we're working on the built-in cabinets for the keep, along with the fireplace mantle. I picked up this nice little trick on the forums for The Sims, where people were talking about being able to build these built-ins with counters to place stuff on without having to use shelves by putting a fence in front of it. And there's one specific fence that works really well, and it's the one I use there that has it has the stone on it, and you'll see I use it pretty much throughout because it's really the only one I could find that works well. The rest of them all have pickets on them and would show the cabinets, and so it just doesn't look as well. And here you'll see, again, in The Sims 3 they actually had the chimneys that would go up. Now they don't have those anymore, but I feel that's, again, a real aesthetic purpose of a house is to have that build-off wall. And here we're working on the bathroom for the 2 rooms on the right end of the house, I suppose you would say. Or it'd be sort of the north end of the room, because where this house is sort of placed, it would be a little bit northeast of the house lot. But again, that depends on where you put it in your town. But that's another thing that kind of lacks with The Sims 4 is that there's only one 50 by 50 lot in each of the little regions. I would have liked to have seen more lots to build on for each size. I don't like that I have to bulldoze my house every time I want to build another 50 by 50 lot or start a new game. It just seems like there's not enough area for builders and designers and things like that to just kind of go and let their creativity flow loose. The towns are very, very, very small. And even with the other ones, I think there's literally one spot to build for each size of house. Now we're upstairs finally, and you're starting to see that fence that is actually going to be a balcony that overlooks down onto the formal family space or formal living space, I guess you could say, from the office or den. Um, really just kind of depends on what you turn it into. I am going to design it to be more of an office or a library, because many of my Sims generally have computer jobs or writing jobs, and so that's a pretty important space. Plus, they like quiet and tranquility, and it just seems like a really good place to have that. That's another reason why the wall on the opposite side is actually closed off from the keep, because if we want a quiet space, obviously a formal living space is usually a lot quieter than the normal family space. It's used a lot less. It usually only has adults in it, sits down, quiet conversations, read a book. And so by putting that wall up on the other side, we're able to minimize those extra noises coming from that side of the house and keep with the flow, I guess, or the environment of the house that I wanted to keep. Here you'll see that I'm messing around with the sun patio, trying to figure out these pillars and what I want to do with them, how I'm going to make them look right, what kind of fencing I'm going to use, what size of sunroom I'm going to do, because the blueprints called for a certain size. And I was like, well, I'm not sure how this is going to follow with my roofing pattern for this house with the limitations the Sims have. So I just sort of laid it out how it was printed, and then kind of moved on, so I'd deal with it later as we got to that point. And now we're working on the main foyer or landing zone that for the upstairs, and then we're working on the rooms above the garage. Now these will be a little interesting because, again, the roofing system is easier than The Sims 3, but at the same time, it's still difficult. There's still limitations on what you can do. There's still bugs in it. One specifically that I really have an issue with, and you might even see it during the roofing section of this, because the roofing of this house was just a huge, huge, huge pain. But what it does is, if you put a roof on the second floor and the height of the roof extends over the second floor, it will cut it off, yes, as long as you don't have any railing issues, which I'll get into in a little bit, as you'll see that causes a ton of issues too. It's a huge bug, definitely needs addressed by EA or Maxis right away. But if you put down your roof, I actually had to delete some of the house because of this huge issue. It made the rooms completely useless because you cannot see inside them at all. This room right there, that room gets deleted because it just would not work with the roof. But you put the roof on top of the first floor and it extends over the second floor, you cannot see in that room at all. No matter how far you down or up you go, the only way to see in that room is to delete the roof. And if you lower down the roof below the room level, below the walls, you can see in there. But as soon as it gets above the walls, done. Cannot see. And so that made doing this room very difficult, because I was trying to cover up the walls. And I was like, well, what do I do? And it did suck that I did have to end up bowing out the sides of it a little bit. But I do think the house still turned out really well. I ran into a ton of roofing issues, which, as I said, this is my first house build with The Sims 4, so that there was still a lot of learning to do. But I still feel super limited on what you can do with the tools they've given us. And then also not having octagonal roofs when they give you a circle room tool, that just baffles me. I did not understand that at all. So that made roofing things like the breakfast nook, much more difficult. And here I'm trying to see, well, maybe there's an easier way to get these side windows in here than what I'm currently doing. I'm like, nah, It makes for a really good view out those windows when I'm able to actually have them as walls with windows that my Sims can go out and look through. And there, you can see it right there. The roof is actually extending over so you can't see inside of the room. It was a huge, huge pain. So I guess if there's one bug in The Sims 4 that I really, really, really would like to be fixed, it would have to be roofing, because roofing is still, it has so many issues, and they keep saying, oh, house building is so much easier, it's so much easier. Well, I don't think they actually realize that people that actually build the houses, and not the people that just click on their pre-built rooms and then drop them, are actually still having a ton of issues with their house building their house building tools, because, well, we I mean, look what I'm having to do with my roof here just to try and get it to work. It's covering floor, so I can't see. As you can see there, it's still showing the problem that I was having. So I'm having to take extra steps to try and fix it. And then later on, you'll see a huge issue, which tons of people are having, not only with the railings, but they're also having them with the freezes and stuff that they put on the roofs. Where if you use any sort of fencing inside of your house, it turns into an exterior room, and all of a sudden the roof bleeds into the room. And there's no way of getting rid of the roof unless you just either don't use the fence, which is retarded. How am I supposed to create an open floor concept with a lookout balcony onto the lower floor when with no fence? With no fence, I cannot do that. And so you'll see later on, I actually had to cut out a little bit of the fence size out of the library space so that I could actually get it to work and not have roof inside of the room. And you keep seeing my loading screen come up. I don't know about you guys, but I hit escape a lot when I'm done using a tool, and sometimes I hit F1, which for some reason sends me out into the town menu, so I have to go through a loading screen every single time I accidentally hit F1. But overall, a lot of things are really good. I really, really do enjoy the multitasking. Sometimes there are some issues with it, but I do enjoy it for the most part. It's a huge step over what we could do in The Sims 3, which honestly, house building was always one of the funner things I ever did with The Sims 3. But here we are to the roof part. And I super sped this up because a lot of what you see on this roofing part isn't even in the final build, just because I had to go through so many changes just trying to get the roof to work without bleeding into the house. And then I had to go through other changes inside of the house to try and get it to stop bleeding in. And it was just a huge work, and it just took me hours and hours trying to figure out what to do. And then deleting of rooms and all that. But I guess I could take this opportunity while this house is building to kind of tell you a little bit about what this channel is and where I kind of want to go. And obviously, I really feel like I sound sort of monotone right now. But, I mean, really, the video is 45 minutes long, 47 minutes long. I did not want to be that long initially, but the house is just so huge that it just took over. I just kept trying to speed it up and speed it up and speed it up. I'm like, well, if I speed up anymore, you're not going to see me build anything. So I might as well just create a link, but I can't create a link yet because the house isn't finished. I've created the teaser clip, and that's a little bit of a walkthrough. and that's something I really want to bring to my channel. I don't see a whole lot of people doing walkthroughs of their houses. I thought it was a really cool feature where I could build a house, and then I could walk through it like it just got done and was builder grade. Um, the builder just finished completing construction. There's no paint on the walls. There's just a few cabinets, a fridge, stove, the bare basics that a builder would finish in a house before you actually moved in. Things you already picked out. And so I wanted to do a walkthrough and actually show out the floor plan and things like that before we actually, bought the house and moved in, started designing it, and then see there's that roof build bleed through. And I'm like, oh, God, I don't know what kind of roof to use here because I can't because I have that fence inside there. So what do I do to fix that? So I'm like, I'm trying everything I can think of to try and fix this issue. But if that fence touches an exterior wall to an exterior wall in any way, then you will see that. It will happen. If there's any kind of roof that can bleed through. Man, that made me lose my train of thought. Oh, well, we were talking about the channel and kind of where we wanted to go. But I wanted to be able to just kind of walk through a house, and then after we get done designing the house, we'll show the designed house. You guys can throw in some ideas if you guys have some ideas after watching this video of things you think I should do differently inside the house for design. Any design ideas that you would like to see go into the house. I'm definitely open to suggestions. I haven't really started too much of it. I've done lighting inside, and just a few decorating things. I wanted to get this kind of out there so that you guys could see where I'm kind of at with the house. And then what I think would be really fun is we do a let's play while I start kind of working on the next series, the next house. I think it would be really cool. You kind of jump in. Obviously, cheats would be involved a little bit just to try and make it so it's not like a brand new character. I think that would be a little bit dull, just because how would a brand new character be able to afford this house? Obviously, I mean this house is already at $200,000 and 200,000 simoleons, and it's not even furnished yet. But I think it'd be really cool if we just create a couple Sims, put them in careers a little bit higher up, raise their skills a little bit, and just kind of went with the roll of things, and then started on another house. And while that house was building, we played that for a little bit, and then just kind of after that house is done, we'll just move into that house with a new set of characters, and we'll just kind of create our own little storyline as we go along with it. I think that would be a fun, unique little way to kind of interact with an entire little region, and maybe make a goal of filling each house lot, since obviously it shouldn't be that hard to build houses on all of them because there's only I think 15 in a region. No, I'm not talking about the 2 that come with the game. There's obviously 2 different sets, but we'll just maybe focus on just 1 or 2. As I said, I am up for suggestions on what you guys would like to see, but that's sort of the direction I kind of want to go. I want to build houses. I want to show you guys them as you guys are just getting ready to own the house, and give the excitement of getting to walk through it, because a lot of people cannot ever afford 5,000 square foot houses. I mean, it's just not necessarily feasible for them, or even where they live. I mean, if you lived in Europe, you're definitely not going to be buying a 5,000 square foot house very easily. Not one that is just all sprawled out like this. So I think that just kind of adds a unique aspect to the game. It allows you to see what it would be like. See, that view is awesome. How you can just go down, you can see the roof, you can see what's going on. There's still a lot of lighting issues with this game. I've tried lighting mods to try and fix it, but I just feel like at one point I zoomed out on my house and I saw like 10 different colors of my house. I'm like, why is my house so many different colors? This is ridiculous. But that's And The Sims is not the only game I will be playing on this channel. I enjoy other games. I really enjoy Grand Theft Auto 5. That's another game I've been playing a lot of lately. But I do play it on PlayStation at the moment, but I've been direly waiting for it to come out on PC. I don't have a game capture card. I don't want to buy a game capture card. It's I'm mostly just doing this for fun and to share some of my things that I create with you guys. Um, my wife does not game, so her interest level of anything involving a game is very low. So I just thought maybe on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, maybe there's someone out there that is actually interested in these creations and would like to use them or talk about them. You never know until you try. So that's what we're doing. I also have SimCity region, the SimCity 4 region that I have been working on for about 4 or 5 years. I don't work on it as much anymore as I used to, but it used to be sort of like that old model train set that old men would keep down their basement that they would just kind of tinker with every once in a while, and that's what I've been doing. So it's based on the region of Kansas City because I'm from that region, so that was a little bit easier for me to kind of relate to. And when I started it, years ago, I basically just kind of picked a spot. And I was like, oh, looks good, just let's do that. And then as time progressed on, it was easier to just keep working on one region than it was to keep redoing other ones, and it allowed me to put a lot more realism and detail into different segments of neighborhoods. So if you're from the Kansas City area, or you know the Kansas City area, you might actually recognize some of the things that I put into the game. And the modding community has been huge with that game. So I'm pretty excited to actually bring out videos of that. I'd started a city journal years ago on it, and I just did not have the time to keep up to date with that because city journals were just so huge on actually having to create a lot of images and storylines, and you'd spend a week just trying to create one post, and it just wasn't enough. But as you can see, we moved on to Windows very excitingly, which means we are getting closer to being done with this, and I've just been rambling and rambling and rambling, and I hope that my next videos are definitely not this long, because I don't know about you guys, but for your first video, trying to talk for 47 minutes is not that easy. But I really wanted you guys to see, as much as you could about the build of this house. I cut out a lot of the build. This was my first build in The Sims 4, so obviously there was going to be hiccups, plus there's bugs in the game still. The game hasn't even been out. Well, it's been out barely over a month. And those windows, those doors, those are supposed to be the garage doors. I do change them to a different window later on in another video that you guys will see. But yeah, that was essentially supposed to be the garage doors. But I felt that they didn't really match the rest of the house very well, so I did change them to something that matched the other windows a little bit better. And here we're doing the cool new trick where you can actually expand items from their original small size and make them bigger. So because they did not include cars, I took some toy cars and made them a little bit bigger. Another trick I found online that someone said. There's actually a mod where you can that someone took higher texture packs and created cars, but I didn't want to put those in the house just because I didn't want people to have mods and cheats and stuff in order to actually play the house. Now, I haven't decided yet if I want to do some custom content, couches and things, just because the game is lacking a lot of furniture. And I found some really good furniture I think would go really well with the formal living space. But as I said, I'll leave that up to you guys for now. If you guys don't say anything, I probably will go with it, and I'll provide a link to the objects that you'll need. They're pretty easy, and I'm pretty sure that if you don't have them and you don't want them, then it'll just remove the furniture if you install the house. Here we're working on the main floor powder room and the closets, just trying to get everything lined up. What's interesting is The Sims 4 really appeals to a modern house. And you see a lot of houses on the gallery and online that say, oh, we're a modern house, modern house, modern house. I don't know very many modern houses that are not open concept, that do not have a living space connected with some sort of kitchen area where everything is sort of centered around the family and food. Anytime my family gets together, everything almost always centers around the kitchen. So having a lot of space in the kitchen and the TV and all that kind of stuff, it really adds a whole new dimension. And it is what every person, when they're going to look for a house now, I mean, as far as I know, where I live, they're looking for open concept. I mean, do you even watch HGTV? Every single thing is like, I want open concept, open concept. We don't want to have our family in one room and the person cooking the food in another room. It's just not how it works anymore. But all these houses that are released now, they're all separated. And with the multitasking that Sims can do now, it just does not make sense why you would separate your kitchen from where everybody else in the house would be at the time. And that was one thing I really feel that this house was bringing to the table, was that open concept. It's super important to me that you be able to get all your Sims in the same room and have one location that they can do all their stuff. And then that way they're not chasing people around the house as much when they're trying to eat food and get ready in the morning. They're all in the same area. And now we moved on to painting, and I don't know how the colors turn out in this for the pictures or anything, but this is actually only 3 tones when I finish it up. You have your stone masonwork accents, and then you have your stucco gray on the outside, which the game is still lacking a ton of color palette options. And then you'll have your red accent wall. And here I'm just playing around with different colors. At this point, I still hadn't quite decided what I really wanted to do yet for the colors of the exterior. But as you can see, I'm like, yeah, this is definitely what we want. We want to do stucco for the exterior. I mean, this is a high class house. We gotta add some high class finishings. And I felt like it was in more of a wooded area with the river and the trees and stuff. So I went for more of darker colors on the exterior, and I think a lot of that carried over into the inside as well, just to sort of give it that woody feel, which is strange because there's that bright white super wannabe modern house up on top of the hill there with all its windows that, I mean, I guess it sort of fits in the area as well, but I felt that this house sort of fit better with the environment that it's placed in. So I guess since we're getting close to closing, I do want to know, what are you guys playing? Is The Sims the only game you guys are interested in? Leave me a comment below telling me, if The Sims is the only game you played. How long have you been playing The Sims? I've been playing The Sims since The Sims 1 first came out. I remember just sitting in my bedroom at my parents' house, just clicking away on that game for hours. So I definitely have been around for a while, but as I said, The Sims is definitely not the only game I play, and I will be posting other videos for other games. Some people may like that, some people may not, but yeah. I hope that everybody can get something from this channel if they decide to come and stay for a little while. And let me know what you guys think about the Let's Play series and being centered sort of around the houses that we build on the Let's Build. I think it's a really cool, different, unique idea, and it'll allow us to not only build the houses but also relate to the houses during our builds. So we are wrapping up the back end of the house here, and then I will leave you with a nice flyover shot of the exterior of the house, but that view will actually have the landscaping, which will be coming in the next video. I probably will have that out in the next couple days, but I wanted to give you guys something to kind of tease with, I guess. Not really tease, but I wanted you guys to have something after my initial teaser video came out. It was a fun little walkthrough. This is somewhere nice that we could start, and I just wanted to get out there, and the more content that you can create, the more often, the better you are. Not necessarily the better content-wise you are, but the better off you are as far as being found. I have a background in marketing, so I understand that content generation is very key for getting your name out there, getting creating awareness of who you are, coming up more in search engines, and obviously it gives you more hit or miss chances. If this video is a flop and I create another one and it's a hit, that's just how it works sometimes. But if you have made it 46 minutes, 47 minutes listening to me blah, 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 thank you. I really, really thank you. Because that means you either cared about listening to me talk, which is rare, or not, or you just really like the house building video. But either way, I hope that you got something out of this channel, or this video. I hope you subscribe if you want to see more, and hit like if you just enjoyed the house, enjoyed me talking, or enjoyed the video in general. Leave a comment if you are interested in any other games, interested to know if I play any other games that you're playing, or if you have any suggestions on what you think I should play. There's a lot of games coming out this fall and winter that I am actually pretty interested in checking out. So with that said, thanks for stopping by. This is Gamer Valley 971 checking out.